Hey everyone, welcome back to the Echoes of Insight podcast. In this episode, I am joined by Salah Amrani. He is a 24-year-old real estate salesman and a landlord. Salah had 3 jobs as a senior in high school. He would leave school midday just to go to work and work the rest of the day. And he started selling real estate at only 18 years old. He's got a very impressive story. We dive into that here and a whole lot of advice about making money and self-improvement and all the stuff in between. So I hope you guys do enjoy this episode. Did you always have the desire to make a lot of money?
Yeah, for sure. Like for as long as I can remember, when I was in high school, I was working a lot. I started working probably my sophomore year, but like really working, like long hours and whatnot, 40-hour weeks, like my junior year and senior year. And the point of that was what I thought was those jobs were going to make me a lot of money. They weren't. It was just let me fill my time, my free time with work. So it's money that I know is coming in. It's always been a desire for sure.
Yeah, and so tell me your story a little bit. Why do you think you have that desire? What made you actually make the decision to, get a bunch of jobs in high school?
Yeah, so I grew up. It was me, my mom, and my brother. My mom and dad came here from Morocco. They were first of the family that was here. They migrated here, and they came with my brother. My brother was 1 year old at the time, and as soon as they got here, my mom was pregnant with me, and they had me. They split up, my mom and dad, so it was just me. My mom and brother stayed here. All my aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, all were still in Morocco. So in all of the States, it was just us 3 as far as family goes. And my mom had to work a lot, obviously, right? She didn't have go to college in Morocco or anything like that. She was just, barely spoke the language. So she obviously struggled a lot, and we saw that growing up. And it was almost impossible to hide for her. Like there was financial issues. It was just obvious. And I grew up in Haverhill, Mass. A lot of my friends kind of had the same situation, single parent, a couple of kids and whatnot. So it was just what it was. And as I got older and I was getting into high school, there was things I wanted to do. I wanted to get a car. I wanted to get clothes. I wanted to do certain things. And I realized I couldn't always just ask mom, hey, can you do this for me? Can I have this? Can I have that? So eventually it was like, okay, let me go make my own money and, figure out a way to get things going on my own without having to ask all the time.
So what age do you think that started?
Honestly, like where I really thought about it was probably high school. Like, because before that, when you're young, like you don't really notice. Like, we were definitely broke. Like we were like welfare, food stamps, all that stuff, but it was normal. Like, especially like environment wise, it was nothing out of the ordinary. So I didn't really care or think about it too much. It wasn't until like high school and like public school, a lot of kids in that school, you start getting exposed to different people, different backgrounds, and different ways of life in a sense. And you realize, okay, so maybe like the way I was growing up wasn't the norm. And like there is alternatives and a different things can be different. So definitely at that time, and more options come up as you get older as far as what are the things you want to do. Where I was like, okay, I want to make some money and be able to do the things I want.
Okay. Do you think that desire to have a lot of money stems from the fact that you didn't have much?
Yeah, for sure. Because there was always a lack and also a necessity to help. Like not having much and wanting to help. Like seeing my mom struggle for many years, like gave up, a long time raising me and my brother. It was something very deep in my heart where I was like, I want to get to the point where she doesn't have to work and I can support that and also make her feel proud of like, hey, I spent all these years working for these kids. Like I really want them to go do something good. And part of that good is maybe financial success. And for me, like that's what I gravitated towards is, if I find a career and make a lot of money at it, I can help my mom and also make her proud of, all the things that she had to do to get us going.
So what did you originally do in high school?
I did. My first job, I was a busboy. I was 15 years old. I worked as a busboy at a restaurant in Haverhill. I got fired probably like 2 weeks in because I was just this chubby, lazy kid. And when I got fired from there, I started working at a 7-Eleven. Family friend that we knew owned it, and he let me work there at 16 years old. And they sold alcohol and cigarettes there, so you're not supposed to have a job like that when you're 16, especially in Mass. But he let me work there, paid me under the table, and I would go there after school every day. I stopped in my junior year. I would stop going to school at 12 p.m. So I'd leave at 12, go directly to work, and stay there till 10 p.m. And then the next day go back to school. So I did that starting 16, 17, 18.
They allowed you to do that? The school?
Yeah, at first, no. And then I had to get an adjusted schedule. So I think probably the end of my junior year, you have to show them proof that you're working or whatever, and they let you do that. And I wasn't going to go, I just needed to get enough credits to graduate. I'm not going to college at that point, and that was evident. As long as I got enough, I did the classes that I need to get the credits. I didn't have to do all the extracurricular stuff.
Okay. And that was your junior year. You ended up getting 2 more jobs. Correct?
Yeah. So got 7-Eleven, Sammy's Market, and I also had for a while there was a period of time where there was 3. It was Dunkin' Donuts, 7-Eleven, and Sammy's Market, a convenience store in Lawrence. So yeah, this junior senior year, at bare minimum, I always had 2, and then periods of time have 3.
Why did you feel the necessity to do that, or did you just do it?
If someone couldn't give me a shift, I wanted to have a shift ready for another job. So if I wasn't in school, I didn't want to spend any time just hanging out or at home. Anytime there was a free hour, I wanted to be clocked in somewhere where money was coming in for that hour. That was my thought process with it.
And you thought you were gonna get rich?
I didn't think I was gonna get. I didn't necessarily think I was gonna get rich, but in my mind, I was every week I would have a milestone of I want my savings account to go up by $500 or $1,000. And working those hours every week, getting paid and putting that money into the savings, I felt the satisfaction of okay, it's growing. And even though it was very slow growth at that time, it was enough to keep me excited to do it every week. And I didn't spend any, I drove a Honda Civic and literally put $20 a week maybe in gas at that. And I spent no money, anything, didn't buy food. I ate at home and didn't hang out much. I worked a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you learn this stuff from?
Probably my mom.
Really? She taught you saving and budgeting and
not necessarily
stuff.
Saving and budgeting, but just working. And the budgeting and saving, I don't know where I learned that from. I think it just made the most sense. Hey, if I want money, if I get this money and I spend it, I won't have it. So I'm just going to keep it. That was the way. I don't think that someone necessarily taught me that or taught me that. I just, that was just kind of an innate thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's hard. We live very different childhoods. I'm very fortunate with how I grew up and who I grew up with. Parents together, well off. But my parents taught me the same things that apparently you learned somehow.
Right.
It's weird that people, different childhoods, end up same mindset, I guess. So that desire to have a lot of money, did you have a number that you thought was a lot? Do you have an original goal?
In my mind, I thought $100,000 was the craziest thing when I was younger. I was dude, if I ever got to 100,000, I'd be set. I'd be in a sweet spot. And I think for a long time, especially when I was working those jobs that I had, it was almost only that number to me was almost too big to even fathom. Even though obviously I wanted to have $1 million someday and the dreams to be a millionaire and all that, but just thinking of getting to 100,000 felt so big. So for a long time that was the goal. Up until I got my real estate license, which was after graduating, the number in mind was 100,000.
Cool. Do you want to tell that story? How you got into real estate sales?
Yeah. So I became a real estate agent purely out of somebody telling me to do it, a divine thing I call it. I was working at drive-thru and this guy comes by in this cool Mercedes, and I was just hey man, what do you do for a living? I was a social guy, would talk to anybody with a cool car, and this particular guy said, I'm a real estate agent. I was oh, that's awesome. And he would come to that Dunkin' Donuts almost every day. He would see me working there. And at some point he was you should become a real estate agent. You'd be good at it. You're sociable and whatever. I was oh, that sounds cool. What does it entail? Told me a little bit about what real estate agents do. Literally, he left the drive-thru one day. I go on my phone. I'm real estate school near me. and there was one in Haverhill, right in downtown. And that I don't know if it was that day or the next day, I went and signed up, started taking the courses,
There you go.
and that's how I got into it. Never looked
Yeah.
back.
How was the beginnings of that? How was that?
Like my first year as an agent.
Yeah.
So my first year, I really went all in. I went to the office every single day. I did all the things that I was told to do, and I had a pretty good year. Like it gave me all the confidence to like keep going. So most agents in their first year, like if you sell 5 houses, 6 houses, it's really good as a first year agent because there's a lot of learning involved, and you usually don't have a big sphere of influence. Especially being a young, like I was 18 years old at the time. All my spheres, 18 and 19-year-old kids.
They're not buying houses.
Yeah, from Haverhill too. Like we're renting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I listed 27 homes my first year. Complete strangers, just cold calling people who were for sale by owner, had a for sale sign in front of their house, or people who had their home on the market with an agent and they didn't sell it for whatever reason. Like the agent wasn't able to get it sold, so it comes off as expired. I'd cold call them and just say, anybody that had their hand raised to sell, I would say, hey, my name's Salah. I'm a realtor at Keller Williams. I'd love to help you sell your home. And I would spend hours a day calling every single day. 100 people say no, 200 people say no, one person says yes. Go on that appointment, get it, listing 1, listing 2, listing 3. So at the end of the year, doing that on a daily basis, end of the year with 27 listings.
Did you have someone at that you learned from?
Yeah. So when I again, super fortunate, when I got to my office, there was this guy and all he did was cold calling. And one day I'm at the office, I'm talking to other agents about stuff they're doing, like open houses and postcards and all this stuff. And he kind of pulls me aside and he's like, don't do any of that. He's like, if you really want to do well and like you want to make this, you want to expedite this process, you got to cold call. Like that's what I do. And like he sat me down in the office he was at and he said, like, listen to me on the phone with people, like listen to what I do, look at my calendar, like this is what I do on a daily basis, copy this. And that, like, I would go into the office and cold call with him going forward. Like everything I did, I copied from him, and he just let me and like was open to teaching me how to do that stuff, which was super helpful.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
You have such a very different mindset than I think most people. You were 18 at this time. At 18, I was drinking a lot,
Yeah.
smoking a lot. Did you never got into partying or anything?
Not really. Like, in high school I smoked for sure. Before school, after school, like, while I was working, I was, my friend group and I definitely embarked on smoking. But I was never a big drinker and never really a big partier. Like I went to some parties when I was in high school. But that was never really my thing. Like I wasn't a party guy. I didn't look forward to partying. Like if my fun time was just hanging out with friends, either at one of our houses or playing basketball. Like that's all we ever did. Like if when we were hanging out, it's just literally chilling at someone's house playing video games or playing basketball.
Yeah. Hey, I like doing that stuff too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't know what changed my mind recently. Recently as in like year and a half ago, I just completely mind shifted and just don't really have that desire for partying anymore. I like going to them still, but I don't drink. It's such a waste of money and time. Waste your next day. It's all gone. How do you think growing up in a single parent household changed your mindset?
I don't think it changed my mind. Like what I learned from growing up in a single family household is that the decisions that you make on a daily basis have a huge impact on your future. So if you're waking up and you're doing the same thing all the time, you're going to be in the same place a year from now. And like sometimes, in my mother's circumstance, like she had to wake up every day at the same time, go to the same job every day because like she needed that security to raise 2 kids. Like she couldn't take risk by any means. And I get that and I appreciate that. So what I learned from that is if you do the same thing all the time, you're going to be in the same place. So, if I had stayed at my jobs that I was at, the Dunks, the gas stations and convenience stores, if I just did that every day, I'd be in the same place every day. Like I wouldn't have grown. So like this new thing, real estate comes up. In my mind, I was like, this is an opportunity for change. This is like something where it can change the trajectory of where I'm going. So learning just like in order to see something different happen, you need to do something different.
Did you have any type of father figure?
No.
Really?
Yeah, no.
No desire?
No, you know why? Like, and it's hats off. Like, I'm talking about my mom a lot today, but hats off to my Mother's Day just passed, so I guess it makes sense.
It's warranted.
Yeah, I never felt a lack growing up, and like it was never even like still to this day, it's not a sad thing. Like, do you have a sister?
I do, yeah.
Do you have a brother?
I do.
Okay, you have both. Okay, so imagine this is bad. That it doesn't help, but imagine someone doesn't have a sister, right?
Oh yeah.
And they're like, hey man, like what's your relationship like with your sister? You're just like, oh dude, I don't have one. But it's not like a sad thing or anything.
Yeah.
So like for me, when any time it was ever like, oh, dad's not in your life, it was never this sad thing like, oh, you don't have a dad in your life. It's like being a person without a sister, right? It's like you just don't have it. But my mom never allowed us to feel a lack, right? Like if we needed something, advice or guidance, like she was smart enough and you know good enough to like give us everything that we needed.
Yeah.
That's how I felt growing up.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think I get it. It's got to be weird. You were young. You were so young when they separated too, right? How old were you?
I was a baby. I was
Yeah.
one, yeah.
So it's not, you didn't feel the pain of him leaving.
Right.
Apparently.
For sure.
Wow. Hats off to your mom.
She's cool.
My mom's great too, but
Yeah.
she couldn't do what my dad does, and my dad couldn't do what my mom does.
Exactly.
It's really, yeah, that's crazy. Do you want to have a family?
For sure. Yeah, it's a huge thing of mine.
Any idea on how many kids you want?
I want a lot. Well, I don't know about a lot. To me, 3 or 4 is a lot. I probably wouldn't go past 4, but in my mind, at minimum it'll be 3. At most it'll be 4.
It's not a bad number.
It gives a good ratio. Like I want a son really bad, so like I think to
High
myself,
chance.
yeah, if I have 3 straight and it's 3 girls, I'd say okay, like I'm gonna try one more time. And if it pans out to be 3 girls, 1 boy, I'm stoked. If it's 4 girls, then I'm just like, okay, that's
My mom is one of 6 girls.
no way.
So she has, it's actually funny, and they're the youngest. So she had, my grandfather and grandmother had 4 daughters. Then they had twins, and they were both girls.
No
One of them is my
way.
mom. So yeah, that's crazy. I mean, like every guy wants a son. I think.
100%.
I think it's a little version of them.
Yeah, that and like I know like there's certain things like I could teach a young boy that I probably not that I can't teach a young girl, but the way I would handle things or talk about things would be differently. And like I look forward to like being able to do that.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot. It's like you're gonna treat your son so different than you treat your daughter. You're gonna treat your daughter like you need to like protect her from the world, and you know maybe that's wrong, but
Well, no, not really.
nowadays
yeah.
it's wrong. But why do people think landlords are horrible people?
I don't know. I feel like the only people that would think landlords are horrible people are bad tenants. Like I don't think anyone else would think that. Like you must be a shitty tenant, or that's actually not fair because there are some shitty landlords that are shitty landlords to good tenants. I think in general, whenever someone is in the position of authority, they're more susceptible to criticism. So if you're a landlord and you're in charge of this building where people rent and they have to pay you every month, if something's going wrong in their life, they're going to point out the person that they think is doing well or the person in authority and say, this is on you because this thing sucks or that thing sucks. I think that's probably the general reason. Are there instances where landlords do suck? Yeah, definitely. Like I do a lot of work in Manchester, multifamilies and rental properties and whatnot, like helping people buy them or sell them. And I've seen some pretty shitty landlords for sure. But I think that's not the common thing. Like most people who own, most people take care of their investments, especially their properties, and they just might come across some bitter tenants that probably cause more problems and then just blame it on the landlord.
There's a lot of talk between landlord and tenant. It seems to be like online and just actually I don't know if it's just online or not, But yeah, there's a lot of landlord hate.
On like forums and stuff.
I don't read forums, but you always hear like jokes about like landlords suck. I saw I saw a meme and it was like, I'm tired of my landlord depending on my rent, bro. Get a job. It's like, yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of his job.
Yeah, that's a funny way to put it.
Yeah. Do you have any rentals? You do?
Yep.
Okay. You want to take me through those?
For sure. So I bought my first one in 2021. It was a 2-family in Manchester. And then
How old were you?
I was 21, just about to turn 22.
That's
It was
crazy.
like literally 5 days after my birthday.
It's impressive.
Yep. So that was, first one was 2021, and then I bought that was a 2-family. The next one I bought was 2022. It was a condo. And then last year, 2023, I bought a 3-family in Manchester. So total of 3.
year.
Yeah,
Okay.
so far that's been since the first one. The goal has been get at least get one a year.
Okay. And how has that process been? Has it been difficult at all?
No, not really, man. Like, the saving skill that I had as a young person, when I first started working, really helped out when I became an agent because I carried the same thought process on money, except it was just larger sums of money when I got paid. But I would, take my check, my commission checks, and I would save just about the whole thing. I'd put aside what I had to put aside for taxes. I'd take aside whatever I knew my monthly bill was, and everything else went to saving. So like, my car bills, my insurance, all that stuff, like I knew what it was on a monthly basis. I still to this day know what it is, like top of mind. I always have. So when I got paid, I'd look at my checking and say, do I have enough to go through the month? Yes. Okay, then everything else goes to save. So when it came time to buy, I was like just financially in a good spot to say, I don't have to worry about coughing up this money because I've structured stuff so like it won't be stressful no matter what happens. So bought the first one, that was cool. Got the second one. I've always had like fear of buying like the property, thinking I'm hoping that I'm not making a mistake of like what property I'm buying, but never like really like the financial part of it. It was just like, hey, is this a good investment? But yeah, I guess like the process has been fine. I'm still a learning progress.
Yeah. Do you have any qualities that you think don't help you in business? It seems to be
No,
your instincts are great.
I'm an anxious person, man.
You are?
It's probably like I'm probably not that great of a business person. I'm good with people. I really like people. I'm like curious about people, and like I genuinely like just being involved with problem solving and whatnot that people need. But in general, I'm a pretty anxious person. Like when things are going wrong, I have a hard time of like detaching from it. So yeah, that part's not good at all.
Is it? How do you think it's affected you in business? Any like specific times?
Yeah, just impulsive decisions. So there's times where instead of sending the email, you should close your laptop and walk away. I've been one to send the email and sit there and wait for a response when I should have just walked away and let it be. I've just, made situations that didn't need a lot of time and energy. I gave them a lot of time and energy, and I still do. And I have trouble with that of like separating what's really important and what's not. So it's definitely been a huge challenge that I've had and still have.
Are you doing anything to try and fix it, or are you just winging it, hoping you get better?
No, I've always like I've done therapy just to like help with that, especially like when I was in real estate and I noticed like, okay, this is a problem, right? Like I should probably figure out ways to fix this. And I have gotten better with it at times, but I'm over time, but I'm still not great with it. So like, yeah, like I've done like therapy has helped me in the sense of, hey, why can't I control, emotions when things get tough or when things are stressful. Because I've always thought if I just think about this myself, like I'm not going to get a different perspective that can be helpful. So I did therapy, like in the sense of, hey, I want someone to like hear what I'm saying and give me their unbiased opinion as to what I should be doing.
What's your thoughts on therapy?
Some therapists kind of suck. Some are good. I think anything that you do to improve yourself is a good idea, right? So like if you're going to therapy to actually get an outsider's point of view, an unbiased opinion on how you should handle things, I think that could be really positive. Um, I think if you're just doing it to go and complain to somebody and like pay someone to listen to you complain and not actually go fix stuff, like they're giving you things to do and giving you insights on what to do, and you're just kind of throwing it in the back window and continuing with your same habits, it's probably a waste. So it really depends on how you're going to go about it.
So do you think therapy can be used for anyone? Because a lot of people go to therapy even though they don't necessarily think they need it. Do you think that's a waste? Do you think it's helpful anyway?
If they're going there and they don't think they need it, yeah. I mean, why would they be going? Just to have someone to talk to?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like you constantly are hearing just about. I mean, I guess I can bring this up. Johnny's girlfriend Morgan, she's in the military, but she has a therapist and she calls the therapist whatever once a week. But Johnny said that she loves it. It's not like she has like nothing wrong with her life that she's like really going through that she really needs help with, but she just likes it. And Johnny said it's actually she's much more pleasant after she's talked to her therapist. But she doesn't have an explicit thing that she's going there to solve. Like it seems like you were going to, help with anxiety, which honestly I might need that.
Yeah.
I've got a big trouble with anxiety too, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just wondering because I've never gone to therapy, but just you knowing what it's like, wondering if it's even worth it for people who might not even need it.
Yeah, I mean, and like in that example you just gave, like that might just be her confidant, right? Like someone who, you know, is never going to give her judgment and will listen and give advice. Like it's nice to have that person. And it's sometimes probably for some people, it's even cooler to have that person. And it's not your friend, it's not your family member, it's not your coworker. It's literally this person that you pay to talk to, and you know they're never going to share anything that you say to them, and they're just giving you feedback. So like that relationship is probably cool for people to have. In my situation, yeah, like I didn't do it for that. Like I recognized I have this self-inflicted obstacle, and I wanted someone to tell me why and how to like overcome it. And like once I got that, like I just stopped. Like once I felt like, okay, I have a good understanding, I would stop going. And in moments where I felt like I needed it again, I'd start going again.
Okay.
It's almost like a tool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it seems like you used it kind of like you would use a course. You buy a course and go through everything just to learn. Okay, I know how to do this now. I know how to not be anxious. It seems like kind of what you did. What'd you learn most so far about being a landlord?
What I learned most so far about being a landlord, it's not as complicated as people make it seem. It's also not as luxurious as people make it seem. You get a property and you vent the tenants that you have in hopes of getting a good quality person. You plug in good quality people. If a toilet's leaking or a heating system needs to be serviced, or things that randomly happen, you take care of them, and that's about it. And on the first of the month you collect rent. Are there times where people surprise you? You vet a tenant perfectly, check their job, background, criminal history, and everything looks fine, and they get in there, it's a problem. Yeah, that can happen, and you deal with it accordingly. But I, knock on wood, haven't had a situation that made me say, I hate being a landlord, or a situation that made me say, I love being a landlord. Like it's just this very just even keel moderate thing. Like, rent's due on the first, I pick it up. If there's an issue, I send someone to fix it. But that's about it.
So how passive is passive income?
As far as landlord side, it's not. It can be, but it's not always that passive. So that source of passive income isn't super passive, especially if there's no management in place. Like if there's a problem, except for the 3-family, for the first one I bought and the condo, I self-manage those. So anytime there's something going on, obviously it's no longer passive. Like I'm involved. So yeah, in that situation, not super passive.
Do you think it's worth? Well, obviously, I think it's worth it because you do it. But is it? Could you classify it as passive just because of the amount of work? Like, is it a lot of work or is it?
Yeah, no, I would consider it passive. Like, for like the first one that I bought, I have great tenants in there. Since I've had the place, I've literally never had to call someone to like quiet down for noise, or I haven't had to tell someone, hey, you're not paying on time, like pay me on time. They've paid on time. They clean up after themselves. Like there's no inconvenience having it. Sometimes I like there was a period of time I'd literally forget that I even owned it until the first of the month came, and I'd be like, oh, I gotta go pick up rent. So like in that situation for this period of time, it's been super passive. But I know that that's not probably always going to be that way, and there'll be times where those tenants are going to call me, say, hey, we're leaving. I have to go find a new one. That new one might be a pain in the ass, and every week, every month, there might be an issue with them. So, yeah, so that part of it, it's good now, but don't know if it'll be good later. I think it'll really be super passive when management's in place. Once like there's a management company taking care of everything, and I never get a phone call and I never have to deal with anything unless it's major, then it's actually really passive.
Do you have any idea of when that's going to be?
Probably once I get more. Like right now, I don't have. It's a total of 6 units, and I live in one of them, so only 5 of them are rented. I honestly probably don't even need a management company for the 3-family I bought, but I did that just in case, I don't want to be pulled too much. But probably once I get to like closer to 10, or if I'm married and like having kids in the next 2-3 years, then at that point maybe. But if I'm just a single guy, I could keep it going for a while.
Yeah. So how do you keep the information organized with all your properties?
They kind of just, they all have their own bank accounts. Every property has its own account. If, one needs the grass cut, use the checking account from that house, and that's it. When rent comes in into their each individual accounts, when mortgage money is going out from their individual accounts, and that's it. There's not like a huge bookkeeping or a lot of maintenance required. It's just collecting rent, paying debts, fixing stuff.
Yeah.
That happens randomly.
Is that common, having a bank account for each property?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, because when you do your taxes, like you almost view each one as a business.
Okay.
So if you own a liquor store and a bike shop, they're not gonna have a shared checking account. The liquor store is its own thing, and the bike shop is its own thing. So 123 Main Street is its own business. 5 Main Street is its own business. 10 Main Street's its own business. So each one collects money every month. Each one gives out money every month. So you want to see how they perform individually.
Okay. That's interesting. I never heard of that.
100%.
Have you dealt with any of the renovations of any houses?
No, I've
Are
always
you happy about that?
yeah, because I would overpay. Like I would pay a premium on each property that I bought because they were renovated, so I didn't have to do it. Because I'm not good with that stuff. I'm not like a handy guy or anything like that.
You know your strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I just don't have the eye for that. I mean, I haven't even really done anything with properties yet. But actually, on that, do you think it's a good idea for everyone to get into some sort of sales job at a high school, or maybe after college if they decide to go?
I think it's sales. What I've learned from being in sales for the last almost 7 years, it's the only thing that you can do where you dedicate a lot of time to it, and all the efforts that you put in, you get back. Right? Like if you really dedicate to it, doesn't matter if you're selling real estate, cars, insurance, doesn't matter. Where there's no cap on what you can make, you can develop skills in whatever industry you're in, and just personal skills that can get you a lot of money down the road. I'll help you expedite your wealth building process.
Interesting. Yeah. There's a couple hustlers that I know that are around my age that are doing like solar panel sales and stuff, and I don't know how well they do, but I mean, I'm impressed. It's not easy, man. Especially cold calling. Can't be easy.
No, dude, I had people like when you have to cold call, like you have to build this skin of like people telling like 10 straight calls, hey, this is Salah, and someone saying, just fuck off. And then you're like, all right, man, have a nice day. And then you pick up the phone and call somebody else, like, hey, it's Salah. And they're like, what's your name? Salah. Oh, okay, go fuck yourself. And then like again and again and again and again. And then you have to get excited for the next call every time, hoping that something good will happen after like 10 people just told you to screw off. So like, yeah, it definitely, makes you have thick skin and view things differently.
Do you think having the name Salah may have gone against?
100%.
Yeah.
There's nobody that I talk to, especially on a phone call, a cold call. I call them and I say, "Hey, this is Salah," and they say, "Oh, hey, Salah," like, and they know my name perfectly. It's always, "What was that? What did you say?" Because it's not a common name at all. So yeah, no, that doesn't help. That doesn't
Yeah,
help.
I figured.
The like Joe, obviously,
Joe is so easy.
yeah, Joe's
Everyone
easy.
can hear Joe.
And our mutual friend Joe, at some point he was just like, "Dude, I'm just gonna say Sal." So like our friend
Oh,
group
that's
just says
smart.
Sal.
Yeah, that's what he calls you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I always thought, I like constantly, I'm just thinking of this stuff randomly. I'm like, man,
That's gotta suck.
cold calling and say, hey, it's Salah.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Oh, is that a thing? Is that a person? Is that a place? What is
Yeah, no,
Salah?
is that a business or is that your name?
Yeah.
Do you have any long-term goals in business and anything?
Yep. I think like my biggest goal that I think about all the time. I don't like early when I first got into real estate sales. All my goals were about how many houses do I sell, how many units, volume, and all that. Now the ultimate goal is getting enough passive income or rental income from the properties to cover my living expenses. That's like what I think about every day. Like I just want the properties or investment accounts to give enough money monthly that covers my my car, my food, my living, my insurance. Like that's the ultimate goal that I have at this moment.
Do you think your living expenses are going to go up?
As time goes on, yeah. As time goes on, yeah. But if I can just get it to where it's there now, as my life grows or my living expenses grow, I would hope that I can add something to cover that future growth. Right? So getting it so it's just covered now puts me in a spot where I say, okay, I can add on here so I can add on here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what about real estate sales? Are you planning on doing that?
Yeah, I gotta keep doing that. I gotta keep getting the money from that to like buy the assets and stuff.
Was that a long-term thing?
I don't. Yeah, I'd like to think that I could stop doing it fast, but it's probably not. It's probably gonna be like, I can't imagine that I'm doing it past, say, 31, 32. Like that would be crazy to me if I'm still an agent at that time. My ideal would be if I was 27, 28. I would like to have enough rentals where I don't have to be a real estate agent anymore. That would be my hope.
Yeah. I heard you and actually, I don't know if it was you that brought it up, but on your podcast, someone was talking about someone that worked with them at the same like company, selling real estate. It might have been Joey, or it was either you or Joey, I guess. And they were talking about he's like an old guy, and he's like he's got money, but you're like it just doesn't seem like the life that I'd want.
Yeah, I said that. It was this guy at my office. He's probably like, and I love him, dude. Awesome guy. And like some people love real estate. Some people love selling real estate as a real estate agent. And if that's the case, hats off to you. Do it till you're 70. But if you don't love it and you're doing it because you have to maintain this lifestyle that you made, then that sucks, right? Like you hate doing it and you're doing it so you can make your car payment because you drive a $2,000, or a $1,500 a month Range Rover. It's like, then you messed up. But yeah, there's this one particular agent who every time he would see me, he would just say, "Hey buddy, where's your Rolex? Like how come you don't have a watch on?" I don't wear a watch. And yeah, in that clip that you saw, I was just saying like, yeah, I don't have a sick watch. I drive an okay car, but the goal isn't to like make money to buy those things. It's to make money to buy things that make more money. And that way I don't have to be a real estate agent, be 50 years old and somebody call me and say, "Hey, Salah, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. sharp, I need you to be at this showing for me." Like, I just don't want to do that at that time.
Yeah, you're right. Some people do like that, though.
Some people do love it, and then cats off to them.
Yeah. Have you never had the desire to buy stuff like that? I mean, watches are a little odd because I wouldn't, even if I had the money for a watch, I would buy a watch, but I wouldn't even wear it. Like, I don't.
Right.
You never had the desire to buy nice cars, nice clothes, or
Not that much. Like I definitely don't bum it either. Like I have a decent car. Like if I see something I really like I'll buy it. But I don't have I've never had a desire to like get like jewelry or watches or things like that. Like maybe when I was younger, like that was a cool thing to have, like thinking of the future, but like earning money and like working, I realized like I don't want to spend my money on this stuff, especially not now.
Yeah. What do you think drives your motivation? Do you think it's excitement? Do you think it's anxiety? Do you think it's uh, your past knowing that you didn't have much?
It's a good question. Like I don't fully know. I just think I've thought about that. Like before when I first started, if you asked me that question, I would give you the answer of I wanted to work really hard because I didn't have a lot growing up and like I want to repay my mom. And that to a degree that's still like always in the back of my mind, making her proud and like setting up for when she wants to retire and whatnot. But I don't know if that's still the reason. Like I like to think that is, but I just know that if tomorrow I wake up, I have the option to do nothing. Right? Like I don't have to do anything tomorrow. But if I wake up in the morning and I just sit at home, I'm gonna hate it. I'm gonna be so upset with myself. I'm gonna be so bored, and I'm gonna be thinking is, what can I be doing, like productive. So it's almost like it's not necessarily like this motivation. It's just I don't know how to do it the other way. Like I don't know how not to go do something. Like it just wouldn't be fun. Or I just wouldn't like myself if I just did nothing.
Hmm. Did you ever listen to podcasts, read books? Do you?
Yes, I listen to podcasts now and books. Like I don't. I used to read more than I do now. Like I probably read 1 or 2 books a year now. But when I was younger, I was big on watching YouTube videos of like Les Brown or Jim Rohns, Zig Ziglar, whatever random. There was one other one that's really good. I don't want to miss him. Bob Proctor. I would watch all their YouTube videos, like their stories. Eric Thomas was also a good one. I filled my mind up with that stuff a lot in like my probably like again junior senior year of high school. As soon as I started driving, like that stuff was in my car, like listening to it while I was driving. Just free time, I was watching that stuff, listening to that stuff. I don't know why I was pulled in. Like I had a desire to listen to that, but I did often, and I still do now.
It's all finance stuff.
Not all of it, no. Some of it is just like life stuff, self development, like breaking mental barriers of how you think, and like believing in yourself and believing in good happening in the future, like all that.
What kind of podcasts do you listen to?
Now,
Oh, back then or now?
then it was more so just like those YouTube videos. But now, if
Okay.
I listen to podcasts, I listen to like business stories. Like you ever watch How I Built This?
No.
How I Built This is this, I don't know the guy's name, but this guy who hosts the podcast brings like the CEO of Starbucks or like the CEO of Chipotle or like the founders of these really big companies, and he has them explain how they started these companies from the very beginning. And like always like super cool stories, like these huge companies that we all know, like these owners or founders all had like this crazy adversity at some point before they made them big. And like we just like don't know the nuances of the story, so they come on and they share every part of it, and it's wicked cool. Like there's some really cool episodes there, so that's one of my favorites. I listen to like Grant Cardone. I listen to Bigger Pockets. I like Alex Hormozy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. So I listen to a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, Alex Ramosi. Did you listen to my last pod by any chance, or the one with Murph?
I listened to one with Murph.
Yeah.
Not the whole thing though. I probably got like an
Well,
hour into
It
it.
was a lot about Hormozy.
Oh, was
The
it?
guy's such a genius. Yeah. We just went over a ton of his quotes. Those things are just stuck in my mind. All of his quotes. I have them. Actually, let's see if I got one that's gonna like strike a chord with me right now.
He's like super simple but smart.
Yeah, like he says stuff that's so obvious, but we don't like the one that actually I've been like just keep telling myself is you've got to be okay with the fact that no one will know how hard you work.
That's a good one.
And honestly, like, I don't necessarily think I work that hard, but it does help a lot when you're realizing, oh, well, you know, like, and they shouldn't know. Like, they shouldn't
Definitely.
have to know. You don't know how hard other people work. Why would you expect them to know how hard you work?
Right. And it's
Yeah.
almost like a society thing, or maybe like in our age range, especially where it's almost like this need to like show how much you do or how hard you work. And it's not, doesn't really push the envelope for anything.
Yeah, when I hear people talk about how much they work, I kind of assume that they work like half of what they're saying.
Right.
Like legit. That's how I feel about everything. Actually, that's another very good point of advice. If people are overplaying their success or how much money they have, assume it's half. And if they're downplaying it, assume it's double.
100%.
And you could do that not even just with money, but their skills on something. If they're saying, "Yeah, I'm great at this," you probably assume it's half of that. But if they're saying like, I'm not great, but then other people are like, "Dude, he's good," then you kind of, it's good to. It's so tough just judging people. People are good actors.
100%. There's a sick quote. It says, people who are good will always feel the need to say how great they are. And people who are great will have other people say how good they are. So, like, the person that's good feels like, I got to show that I'm great. And they're not great. They're good at most. And then when someone's great, other people talk about that person's really good. So whenever someone's telling you, like, they're great, I agree. Like, there's probably something more to it.
Right. You've listened to a lot of podcasts with big CEOs, probably the most rich people in the world. Did you ever feel like you wanted to be like them?
No. And I don't know if it's like a mental barrier thing. A part of me is like, I never want to be, like, I want to be well off and be rich, but I don't think I ever want to be like super rich. Like, I don't think I need hundreds of millions or like
Yeah.
billions of dollars. Like, it's not something I've ever had a desire or been in my mind. Like, millions is cool, tens of millions would be awesome, but like once you start going up, it's like, do you really need it?
Yeah, what do you need past like 30 million? Like, you seriously, what do you need?
You really don't. Yeah, like it doesn't. I can't imagine that it's really that much sweeter as you go on. Like, I feel like at a certain point, you own your home outright. You have everything you want. Like, what more do you need?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you just want a family.
Exactly.
That's what you're going to want to spend your time on. I've also been intrigued recently with jealousy, like especially with CEOs and people like Elon Musk. I don't know if you know Lex Friedman. He's a podcaster, but he talks to a lot of the CEOs and stuff. He's had Elon on his podcast like 5 times at this point. But constantly, like at the end of, I don't know if it was their last one or the one before, but Elon's like, people think they would want to be me, but they really wouldn't. Like, they don't know. There's a lot going on in his mind. But, same thing with like Tiger Woods. People think they'd want to be Tiger Woods because he's rich and famous, but like that guy went through a horrible childhood of abuse and all these issues that it's just not. I don't know.
100%.
It's just not worth it. Like, you wouldn't trade your life. Would you trade your life for like anyone else's?
No, I'm a huge LeBron James fan. So maybe LeBron James. But besides that, in all reality, no, probably not. Like, yeah, no one. I definitely don't think anyone's life is ever perfect, or nobody sits there and says, "Hey, I completely have everything I want or need, and all my buckets are full, and I'm super happy." Like, that doesn't exist with anyone. So whoever you're trading spots with, at some point you're gonna feel that way, and you might at some point say, "Shit, I wish I can go back to being who I was." So no, I don't think I'd ever want to trade spots with someone.
What do you think of not imitating people, but I guess you could say imitating like successful people? What do you think of that?
I think, like, in a business sense, it could be good. Like, if someone has done something and it's proven and it worked, there's no need to recreate the wheel, so to speak. So, like, if someone has a system for their business and it's working, try to copy it, right? Like that dude that taught me how to cold call. Like, he had a schedule of 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. He's cold calling. From 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., he's going on appointments. And then 5 to 7, he's doing administrative stuff. It's like that was like a system. He had scripts and whatnot. I was like, dude, if I could just copy it, I'd probably get the same results. So in that sense, it could be good. But as far as just copying someone, like, personality wise, or pretending to be like somebody because you think it's cool, it's probably pretty corny, and like people will see right through it.
Yeah. Plus, if you're trying to be someone, I listen to a lot of podcasts about podcasts and stuff like that, and you hear a lot like, you can try and copy the trend, but you have to beat the trend to get big. Like at best, you're gonna be a Walmart version of whatever this person is that you're trying to be like. So you really got to make it your own, especially with podcasting, because people just do the same stuff, and it's so oversaturated now that, like, people just won't waste their time listening to you if you're just copying someone else. They'll go to the source. They'll go to the better version. Yeah, it's a tough thing we all go through.
No, it's a good way to look at it. Yeah. And like think about like the most successful like YouTuber person, probably like Mr. Beast, right? He's not pretending to be like anybody. Like that guy's himself. And like I think in any field, especially where it comes to like something to do with influencing, like podcasting or whatever, the people who usually do the best are like unique personalities that are just being them. And like that's probably a good sign of, if you're gonna do anything to copy somebody, copy them in the sense of they're being themselves.
Right. You can still learn a lot from other people without copying them.
Right.
Like, I'm learning a lot from other people about titles and thumbnails and stuff, but I'm hoping that I don't just say stuff to get views. And it's tough. A lot of people do it, and it does work for a lot of people too. But why'd you start your podcast with Joe? Little shout out.
Yeah,
Salah and Joe Show.
Salah and Joe Show, yeah. So Joe's a really good friend of mine. Me and Joe have been good buddies probably since he became a real estate agent. So 4 years, 5 years now, maybe a little more than that. And Joe and I would go grab beers, shoot the shit, and like have like these good conversations. Like, I'd be struggling with something, I'd tell him, he'd give me good advice. He'd be struggling with something, I would tell him, give him good advice. We had these discussions of like what we how we saw the future as far as what we wanted to do financially, what our goals were, and all this stuff. And we were like, dude, this is like we have good conversation when we're hanging out. We should just make a podcast and like just record the conversations we have, minus the beer. So that's literally
maybe
what
occasionally.
Maybe occasionally, yeah. So that was it. Like we were like, let's just copy the conversations we have, but do it in front of a camera and share it with people, and it could be helpful.
Do you have any future plans for it?
Not really. We just kind of have fun with it. Like, we want to grow. We want more people to watch it, and we want it to be helpful to people, but we don't have like this huge desire for it to be like, super successful. Like, if we can put out a pod, get some good reels from it, help out some folks with some good insights, spark people to ask questions like, hey, what did you mean by this? Or could you go into more detail about this? And it becomes something fruitful. It's like, cool. That's kind of like the whole thing about it.
Yeah. The only tough part is that the people that are listening, it's going to be so hard to like really know if you're making an impact.
Yeah, that is a challenging part, because like we'll record for an hour, we'll put something out, and we're like, dude, I wonder if like anybody like
is really taking it in. Yeah.
Right. And like, you'd like to think that silently people are. And like when people do reach out, and I'm sure you feel this too, like when someone's like, hey, I really love this thing that you said or whatever, like it means a lot. You're like, oh yeah. Awesome. But there's also, you have to keep in mind, there's also going to be people that just are introverts, and they'll watch the whole thing, they'll like it and not say anything. Mm-hmm. So probably over time, or the more consistently it's done, it'll snowball of people actually saying something and more people watching and not saying something.
Yeah. And all the like positive interactions come in person. So if you're not really famous, you're not going to get many of those.
Right.
Aside from people like it is cool. It is really cool to see. Like, I see someone at the gym that I went to high school with, and I don't like talk to them really, but then they're like, dude, I see your podcasting. Sometimes they haven't even listened. They're like, dude, that's still sick. Like, I honestly haven't listened, but I like it. I like that you're doing it. And some people just say they like it. It really makes my day. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It is fun. It is fun. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't fun.
I didn't meet Murph until the podcast. That was the first time I met him in person. And I listened to Murph's podcast when he was doing it. I knew of him because he was working with Joe. And then when we actually did the podcast and like talked to him in person for the first time, I was like, dude, this guy's sick. Like, he has a cool story and like super insightful person. The last guest we had was also someone I knew, Joe didn't know, but like really cool person. And yeah, like lets you meet people. I didn't know you until we did this podcast. Yep. So it's like, it's a cool way to just meet cool people and have cool conversation.
Yeah, that was one of the huge benefits that I wasn't expecting. Because even Murph, like I knew Murph before was like, oh yeah, he worked for Johnny at some point. He does real estate. I like know of him. I listened to their pod too. But once I had him on twice now, it's like, dude, we're very close. I had Joey on. I never really talked to Joey before. And then same with you. A lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like every week. I'm like, because at some point you're past like, I just want to have my friends on. I mean, it's different for you. It's so different for you guys because you guys are two people doing it together. Whereas I mean, I guess I could do solo episodes, and I have, but I want another person on every week, and it's a little bit tougher for you guys because 3 people is a lot more difficult than 2 people. 2 people schedule this time, we'll come here. I mean, except for us, we both failed at that, but it's okay. But yeah, I mean, it is a huge benefit. Meeting people is really awesome. I'm hoping to meet more people.
100%.
I mean, I will.
How long have you been at it now?
The podcast, man. I feel like I just slacked off the first year, but when did I start this? I think I uploaded my first 3 episodes all on the same day. It was like right before New Year's. It was like December 30th of 22. So it's been over a year. It's been like a year and a half. Almost.
Year and 6 months. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the past, I'd say, like 4 months I've been doing it consistent. Like before, it was like once a month or I don't know. But yeah, basically a year and a half.
Got it. And what made you want to say, hey, I want to start doing this consistently and all the time?
I don't know. Part of me, like, I like what I do for work. I do. I really do. And I work with my dad and I work with Johnny, who's a really good friend. So I enjoy the people that I work with and I enjoy what I do. But I feel like I need more. Like if I didn't do this podcast, what would I do?
Right.
I'd probably be doing like jujitsu or something. But I don't know. It's something to do. It's a way I can impact people positively. Like even the bikes, like people like riding bikes, but I still have a weird sense like that I'm not really contributing too much to the world. Contributing a lot of joy for people, but still, I don't know. And I've always had the desire. Another one of my desires too and motivations is like the people that I listen to a ton of podcasts, read a ton of books, and like those are people that I want to talk to, meet, be friends with. And if I'm a podcaster and it becomes successful at some point, those are the people that I'm going to be around.
Almost this is like a gateway to get to that.
Yeah.
That's actually wicked cool.
I know.
Way to look at it.
That's probably one of the more uncommon reasons. But the more common ones are the same. Like just, I love having conversations. I feel like I have a lot of insights that I've learned from other people that I can share.
Right.
And like any 20-year-old kid, I want people to pay attention to me.
Yeah. Are you 20?
I want the fame. Yeah.
Exactly 20?
Yeah, I'm almost, yeah. And in like 2 weeks, I'll be 21, yeah.
No kidding, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought you were like 23, 24 years
old.
old.
Oh, no.
You carry
Do I look older? I don't think
No,
I
it's
look
the way
older.
you carry yourself. It's like super poised, super.
Thank you.
Like just calm. Yeah, good for you, man. That's
I'm
cool.
I'm a calm person. I'm not a very energetic person, so.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, that's awesome.
So, speaking of age, what do you think is a realistic goal for someone my age when it comes to real estate?
What do you mean? Realistic goal when it comes to real estate in what sense? Like
what do you think someone should be if they want to get into real estate? Like what? Like you started when you were 18. Where were you when you were 20? But obviously that's going to be an outlier, like because you started so early. Like, do you think like what's a good point for someone to be if they're like 20, 21 and starting real estate or doing real estate?
As far as selling real estate or like
selling.
There is no perfect point to be. Like the best point to be is just ready to go, I guess. Like, but as far as like if someone's 20 years old and they want to get into real estate, nothing really matters besides the fact that they want to get into it and they're ready to go embark on the journey of it. But like I never like whether I'm like giving advice to my friends or someone that I know and they ask about like real estate, I always just say whether you're gonna go and like buy a property at some point or you want to become a real estate agent, the best thing you could do is just start and go about it. Like doesn't matter if you feel like, oh, I'm ahead or if I'm behind or I don't have this set up or that set up. Like just starting is the best part or the most important part.
What about real estate, owning real estate? What's a good goal for someone my age?
I think and I shared this on a reel on Instagram, something me and Joe talk about a lot on the podcast. People think, and it's almost a dangerous thing to think, that buying real estate sets you up to be rich right away. And it doesn't. And like just because someone owns a rental property or owns a property in general doesn't mean that they're super successful by any means. So it's a long-term thing. It's a safe long-term thing. And if you're going to get into holding properties for the long term, like, you're going to work hard, save money, put it into a property and just kind of let it be. If, you're a handy person or handy people and you want to start flipping, that's a cool way to make a good income, on a monthly, yearly basis. You do 2-3 flips and make, whatever it is, 60 to 150 grand or more. Like that, doing flips are cool. So whatever it is, like you need to just like, none of it is get rich quick, and it all takes a lot of work, a lot of persistence and consistency.
What's your biggest piece of advice for someone who wants to make a lot of money?
It's so corny, dude. And like everyone will hear it in like self-help videos or people who talk about self-improvement, but more so than fixing stuff in the outside world, like you got to fix stuff in the inside world. Like that part's the most important. I don't think that reading a book on how to make money will have as much of an impact on you on reading a book on how to improve yourself as far as your habits and the way you view things and the way you deal with people. So I would say stop looking at the outside so much for the answer to things and more so in the inside.
Salah Amrani. Where should people go if they want to listen to you?
Instagram, Salah Amrani 1 has all the links to the podcast and YouTube stuff. And that's about it. Like Instagram will give you the link to everything. So Salah Amrani 1 on Instagram.
Salah and Joe Show. If you are looking to sell a house, hit them up. Hit them up.
I'd be happy to help.
Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it. There's a little bit of troubles with scheduling, but we were luckily able to figure it out. And it was mainly my fault anyway. But I do appreciate it. I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next week.
Cool deal. Awesome, man.
Nice. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy and you find yourself coming back on the regular, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you never miss a full episode when it comes out. These are going to be coming out every week, and you don't want to miss them. There's a lot of knowledge and stuff. If you want to watch another episode, go to the left of your screen right there. You can click it. If you're watching on a TV, you're not going to be able to click it, but that's okay. So thank you again for sticking by and watching till the end, and I will see you next time.